Good morning, students. Happy New Week, everyone, and welcome you to class. This is GST111, and it's week 8. Last week I was here with you, and I'm here as I promised. So, my name remains Dr. Bose Mayadenu of the English department. So, I welcome you to class. I want to believe that you all had a wonderful weekend, and you are geared up for the week. Right, so I welcome you. This is week 8. I welcome you to week 8 of GST 111, Communication in English. Communication in English, week 8. Last week, we were looking at evolving good styles of writing. The first part of it, that's part 1, where we were looking at punctuations, the use of punctuations, to evolve a good writing skill. And this week, we'll be looking at another important aspect of writing and talking about the use of dictionary, the use of the dictionary, and how we use the dictionary to also improve our vocabulary. So that is what we'll be looking at today, still talking about evolving good styles of writing, part 2. I want to believe by now you know how to apply all your punctuations, you know your internal, your word punctuations and your own punctuation. So I want to believe we are good concerning punctuations. All right, so let's kick off for today, talking about using the dictionary, the use of the dictionary. So from the introduction, I'll take it from the introduction, and I would like you to listen carefully and attentively to this lesson because it's very important. There are some things you already know, and then, of course, there are some things you also be, getting to know that you don't know before. And that is what life is all about. You learn, you relearn, and then, of course, you unlearn at some time. So this morning, we'll be looking at using the use of the dictionary and how we can, improve on our vocabulary. On our vocabulary. All right. So from the introduction, in this lesson, you'll be introduced to the use and the importance of the dictionary and how you can build and improve your vocabulary of English. Now, vocabulary is an important skill that any serious student must learn every day, no matter your respective discipline. It's important that you improve because every day we learn. And of course, you know that education is a lifetime thing. So it's something we learn every day. So we ought to improve on our use of the vocabulary, especially vocabulary in English. It's an important skill that any serious student must learn and develop in order to have a good grasp and proper use of English. So this is because the amount of vocabulary you have and have used represents who you are. The amount of vocabulary that you have in your repertoire and that you have used also represents your personality, represents you. And at the same time, it represents your total knowledge of the language. Talking about English language in this instance. So the number of vocabulary that you have, the amount of vocabulary you have represents who you are, and of course, your knowledge, your expertise in that language as we are talking about. And in this sense, we're talking about English, no matter your other respective languages or native languages that you have. But in this class, we'll be talking about your improving your vocabulary of English language. A vast vocabulary will help you speak and write with focus. The ability to write, to speak, and to write with focus. We are talking about how to evolve good writing skills. All right. It also talk about your coherence, how coherent you are when you speak or when you write. And of course, talking about clarity, without any fear of ambiguity or any problem of getting stuck, along the line. All right. So let's delve quickly into the lesson proper. Different kinds of vocabulary. We have different kinds of vocabulary. And I'm sure the previous lecturers must have, treated or taken you through language, introduction to language, the use of language and all of that. And of course, we know that language, when we talk about language skills, there are 4 basic language skills. 4 basic. I repeat, four basic. Talking about the writing, the listening, the speaking, and of course the reading. These are the four basic ones. Of course, two others have been added to it, but when we talk about the basic ones, we're talking about listening, speaking, writing, and then reading. Um, Two have been added, like I said, we have translation, and of course, we also have understanding. So, when we talk about the different kinds of vocabulary, four kinds have also been identified or recognized based on the four basic language skills. So, we're talking about listening or recognition vocabulary, speaking vocabulary, writing vocabulary, reading vocabulary. Okay. Now, listening or recognition vocab, to cut it short, vocab, like so that's a short form of a vocabulary. So I'll be using vocab, henceforth. So when we talk about listening or recognition vocab is a list of words that you have listened to or have seen before, but which you cannot fix the meaning when you later come across them in context. You have seen them, you have heard them before, but you cannot just fix the meaning. So these are the things that you have heard before. Okay. And then when we talk about speaking vocab, the speaking vocab now will represent the words you use in your conversation, which are not usually many. Like when you speak in your day-to-day interaction, some of you can even count the number of vocabularies that you have at your fingertips. So they're not usually many, but talking about the speaking vocab, okay? Now we move on to the writing. The writing vocab is the list of words used in speaking in addition to the numerous ones used in writing, the ones you use in speaking and of course in writing. Before you can write, definitely you must speak. In fact, speaking precedes, or let's say listening precedes all the language skills, because you must first hear before you can speak. And of course, these two, they actually come before writing and reading. The first thing, like a young child, a growing child, you first listen to people around him. At that time, the child is not writing. At that time, the child is not reading. So you cannot read or you cannot write yet, but you listen. So listening is the very first, skill that we all acquire. So the listening skill. So then when we talk about the writing, and that's a higher level. In fact, that's a higher level of literacy. We call it the point of literacy, and that is talking about writing and reading. When we talk about, if you want to define literacy, we talk about the ability to read and write. It is not ability to listen or to speak. Mhm. It's ability to read and to write. So at the writing vocab, that is the list of words used in speaking in addition to the numerous ones used in writing. And the richness of this will depend to a large extent on how extensive the reader's ability is. The richness of this will actually depend on, of course, to a large extent on how extensive a writer's reading habit is. You read over a period of time. If you are the one that is given to reading books, reading novels, reading newspapers, reading stuff, you get to understand some of these things. You learn vocabularies every day. So when you are writing, and your ability to use is when you have learned, and then you're able to also use. That is what literacy is all about. Okay. Now, talking about reading vocab. Reading vocab is the most exhaustive of the four. It represents the words that the reader can define, whether he or she uses them or not. The ones you can define that you can read, that is at the reading level. Now, apart from the four major types, we can also distinguish between specialized and general vocabulary. Specialized or general vocab, okay? Now, at the general vocabulary, we're talking about the totality of the vocab that anybody can use and refer to. The general, from the word general, that's the general totality of that vocab or that the vocabulary that one or an individual can actually use and refer to. And of course, when we talk about specialized, from the word specialized, it means it is not generalized. It has that one is a more of a close. it has a closed cycle, kind of, but general, that is open-ended. So when we talk about the specialized, we're talking about the set of the vocab that a particular person used based on his or her background or profession, your background or your profession. There are so many professions, there are so many, vocations that, use different vocabularies, different terminologies, different nomenclature. So when we talk about specialized, it's talking about a specific one, a set of vocabulary that is specific to a particular profession or vocation. Talking about medicine, talking about law, talking about engineering, different aspects. Even when you talk about even the less vocation or tailoring, there are specialized vocabulary to tailoring, to hairdressing, to fashion, to makeup, to all other um, vocations. So this one we were talking about the specialized vocab when you talk about these ones that are specialized. The lawyers, the engineers, the doctors, the scientists, and of course every other special vocations. They have their own specified or specific vocabulary. All right, so let's look at general tips on how to build and improve your vocabulary. Because we're talking about the use of the dictionary, and of course, when we talk about that, we're looking at how to improve, to build, and of course, to improve our vocabulary. And I need us to follow as I run through what we have on the slide. Yes. Always show acute and passionate interest in your word vocab, in your vocabulary. Is very important. If you have interest, many times whatever you show interest, whatever you have built an interest on, will always drive you. You want to know more about it. So we're talking about general tips now on how to improve your vocabulary. Some people they are so passionate, they are so intentional when it comes to learning certain words or knowing certain things. When you see them, they sleep on the dictionary, they wake up, they eat on it, they do everything on it. And if you look at such persons, you see that they use, they would have increased, they would have built, and they keep us also, they keep improving on their use of, a specialized vocabulary in that specific profession or discipline that they find themselves. Now, another tip is to always watch out for new words used around you. As a scholar, as a student, you should have an open mind, be ready to gain knowledge. Like I used to say to my students that are on this platform, in 100 level, they know that I used to say something. I like, to say that know something about everything. You may not necessarily know everything about everything because nobody does, but know something about everything. And how do you get to do that? By opening your mind. Read, anything that you come across. Know something that is going on around you. Don't just, limit yourself to classworks alone. Don't limit yourself to your social media, your internet, your TikTok, and the rest. They are good, they are okay, but you need to broaden up, especially as a student. Get to know something about everything. Okay, get and then first of all, also get familiar with common words before the rare ones. That's another tip. The familiar ones, the common ones, that is from the general to the specific. And of course, when you already have the control or the ability to use the general words, then it will be easy for you to also gain, some other rare ones or the ones that are rarely used. And then you also, you know, pocket them in your own vocabulary. Okay? Then don't just learn words for learning sake. Learn to use them in your daily activities. The essence of learning something is for you to know and to be able to use. What is the use of something you know that you cannot apply, that you cannot use? Do you get what I'm saying? So the wisdom is in knowing these things and then using them. And by the time you keep using them, it becomes part of you. You are very, it becomes easy for you to use. And then, there's a way our brain stores information. But once you have stored that word, where you come across it, anybody say something like that, your brain can easily relate to it. But of course, get friendly with your dictionary is very important. Cultivate the habit of reading extensively, taking notes of new words, make a workbook of your own where you collate words, where you have words that you collate. When you have a workbook, that's a personal workbook where you put your words, your new words. These are general tips on how to improve, to build and to improve on your vocabulary. Okay. Now, when you do that, you then know the meanings of this word, the spelling, the pronunciation. Of course, that is what the dictionary does. The dictionary, and that is what we will be looking at in a short while. Then also note the context of use. A word can be used in different contexts. So you must understand or master the use of these words in their different or respective contexts. Very important as well. Okay. Then keep examples of on how you have used the words in your speech. How you use the words in your speech. Take note of all of these ones. Then study your word book on a daily basis. Your word book. We call it word book, as in WORD, then BOOK. Okay. Now let's look at building vocabulary through inference from context. Through inference. Now, what do we mean by inference? This is the ability to add more to your vocab by deducing meanings from the passage. The surrounding words. There are times you come across a word, you are reading a book, you are reading a passage, a sentence, and in the midst of that sentence, there is a word that you are not familiar with, and then when you see it, a way to know the meaning of that word is to look at the surrounding words in that sentence or in that passage, or how that word has been used in that passage or sentence. From there, you can have an idea. You begin to like, okay, for this word to be used in this manner, then it must mean something like this. That is, building your vocabulary through inference. It is equally acquired by practice and usually used by a skillful wide reader. Like I said, you must be someone that is given to reading a lot for you to be able to use that. Then Bright and McGregor 1982 refer to it as the ability to make intelligent guesses. To guess that, okay, this must be the meaning of this word in this instance. Okay. Now, it is also noteworthy to say that in drawing conclusions like this, the context in which the word is found is important. The context, how talking about the surrounding words where that word is found. Before you can develop this skill, you must be an ardent reader. You must be someone that reads very widely. There is an item. If you come across a word like this, aglet, AGLET, what we have here, aglet. The chances are that you have not even heard it before. Now, let's look at the context of use. I just discovered that the aglet of my shoelace is missing, and now I can't get to lace my shoe easily. Let me take that again. I just discovered that the aglet of my shoelace is missing, and now I can't get to lace my shoe easily. Now, from this context, it can be deduced that an aglet will probably or will most likely mean that plastic or metal tube usually fixed at the tip of a shoelace for easy threading. When you want to wear your trainers, your canvas, your whatever, your shoe, a shoe that has a shoelace, whatever nature of the shoe that has shoelace that you have to, put into the holes. The aglet there will actually mean that metallic something at the edge of that of the rope of the shoelace. So that's an aglet. So you see, it's an inference. You don't necessarily, you may not even have a dictionary around you for you to check through what that word is. But from surrounding words, you can easily, infer that, oh, this must be the meaning of this word. Okay. Now, building vocabulary with roots, that's another way to also build your vocabulary with roots. What do I mean by root? Basic knowledge of the etymology of words. Etymology is talking about the origin of some words. The origin, where some words actually originated from, can actually be a pointer to the meaning of certain words, talking about the root. Now, let's look at these examples that I have here. We have some words that have Latin roots, their meaning, and of course, their current words. Talking about annum. Annum. Annum means year. And in the English, in the current English, we say annual. Something that is, an annual occurrence, something that happens once in a year or yearly. Then aqua, aqua is water. So when we talk about aquarium, it has to do with water. Then cap, talking about the head, the capital, omni, all. Talking about omnipresent, talk about omnipresent God. Omnibus, when we talk about a movie when it is collated, all, that is talking about all. Then brand, sant, date. So all of these, you can actually know them through, the root words of this or the origin of some of these words. Then another one, we have it also in Greek roots. The first one we looked at, this one is talking about Latin root. Then let's also look at the Greek root. Anthropo. What does that mean? It means man. And of course, we have words like anthropology. Auto means self, and then we have automatic, something that is self-driven, something that can work by itself. That is automatic, self, autobiography. The history told by an individual, one's history told by that same individual. That's an autobiography. Bibli, talking about book, biography, bio. Yeah, I mean, we are familiar with the word bio and say my bio, talking about your life, your biography. That's what it means. From, them, geo. So all of these, if you look at their meanings, you see how they are used. So when you know this origin, if you know their Greek roots, then when you see any word that is having thrown from the beginning, you most likely want to think about it as in time, chronology, skin, dermatology, epidemic, stuff like that. So that is how to also, build your vocabulary through the roots. Then you can also build vocabulary through relationships, word relationships. What do I mean by that? Talk about synonyms. I'm sure you are familiar with your synonyms, with your antonyms. Synonyms will be similar words, words that look alike. Then antonyms will be words that are opposite in meaning. Then your homophones, words that sound similar. Phones is sound. Homo is similar or same. And then of course collocation. Let's run through that. Synonyms are words that have the same or very close meanings. Synonyms. You have all done that, you've taken that, you've all done your jam, so you must have been very familiar with synonyms. And I'm sure English is compulsory for jam. So everybody here, is familiar with what we talk about synonyms. Okay? Broad, wide, capacious, large. That's a way to build your vocabulary. It's not the time you want to use. You want to just, because you are now a university student, so you want to also impress. You want them to know that you don't say some words. There are some words that are just very laid back, kind of they are too elementary. You want to upgrade. So you want to when you mean broad, you can talk about wide, large, capacious. Of course, some of these also depend on the context of usage. Liberty, talking about freedom, independence, license, to assassinate, to kill, to commit murder, to slay, and the rest of them like that. And of course, when you talk about antonyms, you know that your antonyms, of course, mean the opposite in meaning. Opposite in meaning. Then your homophones, like I said, homo means similar, and then phone means sound. It means sound. Now, these words that look alike or even spell alike but are not related in meaning, there are times that they sound the same way. Sometimes you even write them the same way, but the context of use will tell you that no, this is what it means in this instance. Look at these words altar and altar. These ones written the same way. One is actually a noun and the other is actually a verb. So you must know when it is in the context talking about the surrounding words that will now indicate whether this one actually means to alter something, like that. And then of course, right, right. You can see that they all sound the same way. It is when you write them, you know that okay, there is a difference between this write, R-I-T-E, R-I-G-H-T, and of course to write something on the paper, you know that is different. So they sound the same way, but they don't mean the same thing. So you must know their usage. When you try to master such relationships, you will save yourself from the temptation of abuse. If you want to write WRITE, you see them writing RIGHT, because they just cannot differentiate between them, especially because they sound similar. So maybe while writing, just like this must be the meaning. Sometimes it happens, but it's important that you know and have the ability to differentiate between these. Then let's also look at collocations. Collocations are words that naturally flow or occur together. You know that when you say something, you can imagine, you can easily, suggest what is going to come after it. They naturally flow together. When we talk about criminal, adding criminal, to go the extra mile, bread and butter, trade union, pull over, such words, they call them collocations. So when you know their usage, it will be easy for you to also, to identify. When you know their meanings, it will be easy for you to also identify, the different contexts of their usage. Okay. So let's run. All right. You can also build, okay, still on vocabulary building through relationships. We have their collocations. Okay, let's move on. Then, of course, the wrong use of words too. You also have to know the wrong use of words. When you know the wrong use of words, then you know that, in certain instance, you are not supposed to use certain words. So you can easily know that, no, this is not right in this context. Now, let's quickly look at a few of them with the use of jargon. You've read several times people talk about jargon. Jargons are words that are used in a situation where such words are unfamiliar to the hearer or the reader. You can call it jargon because you are not familiar with those words. That does not mean that those words are wrong in their own respect. No. But because they are not familiar with them, it's like when we talk about some words that are specialized, from what we explained earlier. These are specialized words used by a profession or group that are difficult for others to understand. If you are not in that field, if you are not of that profession, it might be difficult for you to actually understand the use of such words. Then we also have what we call cliche. Cliche too are those words that have lost their importance, by being overused over the years. People talk about it every now and then, they've become a cliche, kind of. So talking about beating about the bush, you get that it's been overused. Those are words that have been overused over a period of time. We call them cliche. Then slang. Slang, I'm sure you are familiar with slang. Slang, not slangs. Now, get that right. Slang. These are everyday informal words which are used in informal situations. You know how you use your slang in your different cycles. Slang are words. There are meanings which are not polite. They are kind of they are what we call they are not the regular words. I'm trying to look for a word that fits it. They are used in informal situations. They are not like ways that you can use in a formal or in a serious setting. They are called slang. And of course, they have their own community. They have their own group of people where they use such words. And most times they are not polite. They are used among certain groups. In some in-group that use such slang. Example, students, you talk about no cap when you mean, when you are saying the truth, when you are saying the plain truth, you say, I'm not capping, something like that. That's a slang. It's not something that you use in a formal situation, talk, drip, flex, and the rest of them like that. Then there are also pompous words. Pompous words. This is a situation whereby you decorate your words with too much ornaments, like you make it, you decorate your words the use of flowery words that are, just to impress somebody. If I mention a particular politician in Nigeria, you know that, when it comes to, when somebody wants to show, you just want to mesmerize your listeners, you just want to impress them, you want to use words, big words, what you call vocabulary, not grammar this time around, because you say, the person is speaking grammar. You don't speak grammar. You actually talk about vocabulary. I hope that is clear. Okay. All right. So that is when you use some, very flamboyant, so some some things that are not necessary sometimes, just because you want to impress some people. You want to use some huge, vocabularies. All right. Now we still talk about redundancy. Redundancy, that is say under the wrong use of words. Redundancy. This is otherwise known as tautology or repetition. When you have said something, like you are saying it over and over again. Now, look at this. You say when words are tautological, the beauty and meaning are lost. And that is true. When you say something like you are repeating it, it's becoming redundant. You have something like, will you repeat again? What do you mean by repeat again? To repeat is to say something again. So why do you have again there? Will you repeat again what you have said? Will you repeat what you have said? Or could you say that again? That's fine. So instead of saying that, that would, it will result into, what's it called? Result into redundancy. Okay. All right. So we also have circumlocution. Circumlocution, what we also know as the practice of using longer words than necessary. Longer words than necessary. Some expressions sometimes that are more than necessary, more than required. That's what it means. That's circumlocution. I am of the opinion that I believe in view of the circumstances, just when you mean to say because, when you mean to say in this day and age, when you mean to say today, in today as in these days, you don't need to say so many things, but some people maybe because they just want to impress, they just want to ensure that people they want people to respect them, that oh, this was they are they are Efiko, like we call them. All right, so let's move on. The use of the dictionary now. The dictionary serves as the most authority when explaining, or which explains and expatiates the difficulty that any reader may encounter in the study of any subject or material. The dictionary is an authority that you go to, and the good thing is that everybody is the dictionary is available to everyone. If you have your phones with you, if you have your Android phones with you, of course you know that most of these Android phones are even equipped. They come with dictionaries, and you can even download certain dictionaries or thesaurus and the rest of them like that on your phone. So you walk about with your phone. So it's easier for you today to get the meaning to any word you are looking for. And of course, Google is also your friend. You go about, your phones are with you, and some people will tell you that once you have your phone is don't eat, you are good for the day. That data is life, phone, getting connectivity is life, and it is the age that we find ourselves. So your phone can any meaning, any word that come to you, you can easily check it up, and then you get the meaning. And that is what the dictionary is there for. A dictionary is also a reference book that contains a list of words. It provides information, of course, about spelling, about pronunciation, grammatical status, meaning, history, usage, origin, everything. It will even tell you the usage, the context of usage. A word can have explanation in 2, 3 pages, just a word. So, and of course, for a student to excel, we must cultivate the habit of keeping a dictionary handy. Like I said, and dictionary comes, of course, in different types, and they deal with different aspects of meaning. We have some specialized dictionaries too. You get there in a thought way. This includes definition, pronunciation, spellings, etymologies. I mentioned that earlier, talking about the origin. You see the origin. Some words will tell you it is a Latin origin, is a French origin, is a the different origins. Even in the English dictionary, you know that so many of the English words that we have today, they actually originated from different other languages. All right, so let's move on. So the use of the dictionary are classified into two major categories. We have the general dictionary and the specialized ones. The general dictionaries provide important information on words, while specialized dictionaries deal with words that are specific to certain areas or disciplines. We have the medical dictionaries. We have even English pronunciation dictionaries. We have for English students that are, pronunciation dictionary. These are specialized dictionaries. They are not like the general ones. The general ones are there, like your Oxford, your Advanced Learners, your Webster, all those dictionaries. Those are general dictionaries. They provide meanings to words, their origin, their usage, their pronunciation, and the rest. But the specialized ones, they are actually the ones that deal on different specific profession or discipline. Okay. Now the dictionary, the general dictionary, they provide information on words, and the specialized one they provide on specific areas or disciplines. The dictionary is divided into three parts. Let's quickly run through that. The preface, which provides the introductory and the explanatory notes. The main body, which is elaborates on the entries of individual words listed in alphabetical order. When you are looking for a dictionary, when you're looking for a word in a dictionary, if it's a word that starts with A, like that adlet you mentioned, you're not going to be looking at the middle of the dictionary. You definitely start from the beginning because it is arranged alphabetically. Okay. Now, we also have the appendix, of course, that is at the back, which provides such information as the glossary of terms used, the biographies, the tables and weights, the abbreviations, the historical element, tables of weight and measures. Many of you have the dictionary, but you don't even know that this is how these things are structured. So the dictionary is divided into three that you have just learned. Now, there are different types of dictionaries. Like I said, the Oxford English, the Advanced Learner, the Longman, the Concise, the New International Webster Dictionary, the Thesaurus, the Encyclopedia, the abridged, the unabridged dictionary. Now, to benefit maximally from the use of the dictionary, you are advised not to just go there to check meanings. It's important that you go along, with that intention to know or to knowing everything that is related to that particular word, not just the meaning, but the origin, the root of that word. You should know them. You should, equip yourself. That is how you actually increase your vocabulary because you'll be able to explain some things as well. Now, building vocabulary through word analysis. Through word analysis, how you can also improve. We have looked at this from the dictionary, how you can also improve it through, you know, um, the word analysis, how to analyze words. One of the ways you can improve on your vocabulary is by the formation of words through addition to the stem or root known as affixation. Fixation. Such addition may either be at the beginning, known as a prefix. When it comes at the end, it is a suffix. I'm sure you are familiar with some of this. When an addition to a word, to a root word, or to the stem, or to the base of any word, an addition from the beginning is a prefix, pre, before, okay, and it is suffix when it comes after that root word. Now let's take an example from here. AB, when it has an hyphen like this, that is ab. It means it must be added to something. This hyphen means it must be added to something again. Now, when we have it as abnormal, ab means away, taking out, taking away from. That's ab. Now, when you add this ab to normal, it becomes abnormal. That is when something is not normal. When something has been taken away from being normal, okay? By also means what? Two or double or both. We talk about bilabial, bilateral. Talk about co means to come together. So these are prefixes. Then when we talk about suffixes, look at suffixes coming at the back, at the end of that root word. These are root words and these are the suffixes. When we have something like let, L-E-T, and with an hyphen before it, it means, small, something that is lesser or small or reduced. And then we have examples in booklet. Less, when we have S usually we're talking about female version, the waitress. We can talk about the waitress, we can talk about the hostess, and the rest of them like that. Then ship, when it comes at the end too, it's talking about status. We talk about kinship, nationality, ESE, Chinese, Lebanese, and the rest of them like that. Let me quickly move. And of course, building your vocabulary through semantic analysis, Okay, through semantic analysis. Vocabulary, vocabulary through semantic feature analysis helps you to build vocabulary by playing with words. Semantics now, talking about, meaning, talking about word meaning. As you work on your words, you are increasing your knowledge and improving your vocabulary at the same time. Now, to make this a worthwhile venture, you can work with peers and series of questions from your peer. Now, let's look at examples. The word category is social interaction. The word category is social interaction, and you can provide answers to such questions like the following. Where can the basic needs be met? When you provide answers to some of these things, you are actually building your vocabulary, because the answer will take you, to knowing the meanings of those words. Where can basic needs be met? Who provides basic needs? Where can you get mutual trust? Where can you get awards or opportunities? And then let's quickly, go through some of them. Now, look at the way we have put it in a table, in a tabular form here. From those questions, look at the questions very well. Where can the basic needs be met? Who provides the basic needs? Where you can get mutual trust? Where you can get awards and opportunity? Look at the way the answers are structured here. Now, provision of basic need. Where do you get that from? From the home. Of course, you have mutual trust. Is it from awards and opportunity? No. Because when you talk about the home, you talk about the parents, you talk about your siblings, of course, that's the mutual trust that exists there. You talk about family, of course, family provides basic needs. Of course, there is also mutual trust in family. You can see the plus sign, the positive sign. The home is not where you get awards and opportunities. But what about friends? Some friends, do you get basic things from friends? Is it the friends that give you clothing, that give you housing, that give you food and all that? No. Mutual trust, yes, from friendship, but of course, you can also have opportunities too from friends. The same thing with community. Now, another word category can be given as vegetable. So the same thing applies to these ones as well, to vegetable. Now, let's quickly move. I hope you will be able to go through all of these slides at your own, time. But because of our time, I need to rush through this. I hope you have the opportunity to go through it, one after the other on your own. Now, for the vegetables, this is the breakdown, the category, the way we categorize these things. Now, we can also talk about vocabulary through chains. Here, a chain comprising words is constructed. To get the best result, the chains are organized into different categories and headings as shown. Look at this: time, rank, process. Now, talk about the process in washing. Dry, you wash it, you dry it, and then you iron it. Look at in this time, we talk about sequence, timing, periods, talking about a time that something happens. Last night, tonight, tomorrow night, decade, back, like 10 years back, century, talking about 100 years, millennium, of course, talking about 1,000 years. So when we look at the way these things are grouped in chains, through chains, you build your vocabulary through this process as well. Look at the rank and the status. Apprentice, to in a formal, in a private organization or corporate, you talk about the foreman, and as a student you talk about lecturer, you talk about vice chancellor. That is how the rank is. You must be an apprentice before you become a foreman, before you become a craftsman. You must be a student before you get to, of course, the lecturer. We talk about rank, the hierarchy of these professions. Okay. Now, the last but not the least, we also talk about, understanding your Nigerian English and the difference between your Nigerian English and your British English. This aspect has been introduced to expose us to some vocabularies and expressions of Nigerian origin, that Nigerian use of, there's Nigerian expressions, Nigerian English expressions. And of course, we have their British counterparts as well. In order to expand our choices, for you to know, it's important that you know that, oh, this is a Nigerian, language, it's Nigerian English use or Nigerian English expression, but you must also know their British counterparts, so that in whatever context you find yourself, in what context to use it, and in another context to use the other one. So Nigerian English, we have something like motor park. Meanwhile, in the British English, we have it as papa. We call it junior or senior brother. It's actually the elder or the younger brother. Then you say change, give me my change. No, it's a balance. Balance. To drop from a car, you don't actually drop from a car. You are light or get off of a car. So these are the Nigerian versions, and of course, these are the English versions. And of course, as a student, you are expected to master the British, version of some of these words. Look at some of them here. You say tight friends instead of close friend, go slow instead of traffic jam, nook and corner is actually nook and cranny. Okay, I am coming while you are going. I will be back. Just a minute. Please excuse me. I'll be back. It's better. It's a more, kind of sophisticated way of saying it. Then to branch, instead of you to say, oh, I'll call at your place later in the evening, not I'll branch, something like that. All right. So these are all Nigerian use of English, the Nigerian expressions, and these are the English and British counterpart of those words. Now, in conclusion, as I round off this lesson, developing your vocabulary skill is not a task that is achieved in a day. It's something that is gradual. It's something that you learn over the time, over the years, and then you master it, with time. So it needs determination, it needs hard work, intentionality, constant practice, and just be deliberate. And before you know it, you will be very good. Your writing skills, you will be able to write, in very flawless language, in a very something that is very admirable. People want to read your work. You want to be, a good writer and a good speaker, of course. When you're able to use, how to use words. You don't use words wrongly. You don't mean to use this and then you use it. What we call malapropism. You don't engage in all of these. You even all this, little slips that happen, the slip of the tongue, the tip of the tongue. You master some of these things. And it takes time. It's not something that you develop sudden. It's not something that is sudden. Even as English teacher, every day we learn some of these things. And how do you learn? You learn by reading wide. That is what we have been saying, when we started. Extensive reading is a necessary tool to achieving this aim. You have to cultivate the habit of reading extensively. That is how to, to actually build and, of course, to improve on your vocabulary. Okay. And then read different types of texts, different types of materials, read newspapers. Some people don't even read newspapers again. What they do is to just get glued to their TikTok, to their Instagram, and the rest. The things that are very educative. Get to read your textbooks, get to read your materials, your PDFs, materials and resources. Read novels, read newspapers, know what is going on around you. Know, different things. Like I said, I need you to take this home. Knowing something about everything is what makes you alive because you get to know no, nothing catches you unawares. So it's important to develop this habit. And of course, constant use of the dictionary is also a very vital way in building, of course, your vocabulary and improving on it. The habit already is for you to improve on it, to knowing some of these things, and then before you know it, you'll be a very good speaker. You don't even know where you find yourself. Some people they know what to say, but they don't know how to say it because they are very timid. They don't have that confidence. And the reason why you don't have confidence is because you are not sure whether what you are saying is right or you are going to say it wrongly or rightly. Like I said, even in the dictionary will teach you the pronunciation of some of these words. So that when you are pronouncing it, you know you are pronouncing it the correct way. So that is what this lesson today is all about, to build your confidence, to build your writing skills, your speaking skills as well. And I want to believe that you have learned, something from this lesson. And well, I'll be drawing the curtain here. And I think maybe the next time you'll be seeing me will be in the exam hall because another lecturer will be taking you off for week 9. So at this point, I'd wish you have a beautiful day and a beautiful week, and then see you some other time. I remain Dr. Bose Mayadenu. They call me Dr. Maya. Okay, so thank you. Bye bye, everyone. See you next time. Okay, bye.